but
it is. It's an
get
art.
out.
It's an art. There's a whole bunch of videos on YouTube. If you just searched for best elevator pitch, there's so many conferences now that have great contests with that, especially out in Silicon Valley. And there's some really, really good ones. Like I saw this amazing one. This guy was in a booth. His elevator pitch was like 17 seconds long. And it was just so, there's so many different templates and formulas for them now. And if you can nail that down, that fits with what it is that, your personality, what it is that you do and what the company can solve, you can come across sounding really, really good in just a few sound bites. And that's the way to do it. And you get somebody's attention, and everybody's in the same format right now. Just give me the solution, solve my problem, then let's move on and have a good time. That's
whether it's a vacuum cleaner or a piece of incentives data.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting, competitive discipline, just any kind of sales, any kind of elevator pitch.
You know what I've been doing for a lot, guys, is that, I've been traveling a heck of a lot for the company for the last 4 years. And I found my best opportunity to practice it has been when I'm in an Uber, because typically it's from a hotel to a hotel, from an airport, blah, 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 or an office building. And the driver always asks, "Oh, you're here for work. What do you do?" And so I go through it real quick, and I just simply, I give that pitch. And that's where I've honed it over the years, is just by practicing on that. Because if I can get the Uber driver basically understand it and relay back to me, "Oh, wow, that sounds really cool." And if I get that type of feedback, they've got it. And it's a great way to practice it.
That's a good spot to do that. Don't ask the guy next to you on a plane what he does, because then you end up talking for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah, it goes hand in hand with that, is in terms of working with data, is when you produce directional term sheets and proposals and different things that can be socialized beyond your control. You got to make it simple enough that the person that picks it up can totally understand it. So yeah, anybody that tries to confuse somebody isn't really getting the big picture. I try really hard to make it easy to understand our concepts.
Yeah, I used to do it at Auction Direct, Ryan, when I was building that site. This was going back 10 years ago. My youngest son, who's 21 now, he was 10 years old, 10, 11 years old. And I used to give him the mock-ups and put it in front of him and show him the screen. And I would just be like, "Okay, Coop, what is it that you need to do here?" Yeah. And he would just go through. And at the time, Todd, you'd appreciate this. It was an auction site. The company was Auction Direct USA, and we had a separate side of the site. We literally mimicked eBay. So you had retail SRP and VDP. Then we flipped it on another side of the site, and you could actually buy the car via an online auction. And my son at the time, and keep in mind, this is 10 years ago, he was already on eBay buying stuff as a 10-year-old. And he actually said to me, "Why do I have to do an auction like eBay? Why can't I just put it in the shopping cart and buy the car?" He was 10 years old when he told me that. And I was like, "Oh man."
You're like, "Someday, son, someday." Yeah. 30 years later, here we go.
Yeah.
Well, let's get this party started here. Actually, the party has started. We've been live for the past couple of minutes. But let's get rolling here. I'm Ryan Girardi here at our monthly used car marketing dealer strategy roundup, panel discussion, whatever you want to call it. This is one of 6 different auto retail marketing webcast panels that we run on a monthly basis. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen and put the cameras on. We have Eric Miltsch from Dealer Teamwork here. Hello, Eric. We have Todd Somerville from Cox Automotive. Thank you for being here, Todd, on your first panel with us, but definitely not your first rodeo in doing this. And then Guy Campbell from Marketcheck down in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Took some time to get off the sound and put the paddleboard up and talk about used cars for a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, you bet.
Well, appreciate you guys being here. For those that are watching live, feel free to use the live chat. I will interact with you there. If you're watching the video replay, you can use the comments if you have anything to comment on. And if you want to be part of the discussion, head on over to autoconversion.net, look under webcast, look for used car marketing under the auto retail section and register. That'll send you a Zoom link and you can get yourself up here for this session or any session following afterwards. We do record this and it's featured on the AutoConverse podcast, which we'll talk about later. But once the live stream ends, the video becomes unlisted. So if you want to watch the replay of any of our shows, you need to be subscribed to the YouTube channel to get that link. Okay, so what we're gonna do is Todd, Brad Corner came out with some information around CPO sales, setting another record in 2019, marking the 9th consecutive year of record-breaking sales, reaching 2.8 million vehicles in 2019. That's up 4% from 2018, according to Cox Automotive. But I think word on the street is not expecting another increase in 2020. And so why don't you go ahead and take the lead on what you're seeing and what that looks like.
Thanks, Ryan. Yeah, thanks for having me. We are drowning in data right now around car sales and what's going to happen next in terms of offers to the marketplace. And one of the things that's been coming out of all of that is that customers are looking for affordability in regards to new vehicle prices. Prices continue to go up, and they're tipping close to 40,000, or depending on who you look at, between 36 and 40,000. CPO vehicles and used vehicles are a great alternative. Last year, I think we hit about 16.8 million on the new car SAR. There's a 40 million vehicle market out there for used vehicles, fresh used being CPO, and then your 5 to 8 year old used vehicles. And customers are looking at those vehicles as fairly fresh, low mileage. They have a warranty on them. They have fairly similar features to them in terms of the new vehicles. And there's roughly 30-ish captives and independent banks now that are offering standard rates and special rates on those vehicles. So they can be very competitive when offered up against a new vehicle alternative with very similar features and a great warranty. So we're looking at anywhere from 30 to 50% on a vehicle that might be 3 or 4 years old that could still qualify for a great CPO warranty, and put the customer into a vehicle at a much better price and a much better payment, supported by the financial institutions that are getting into these rates and writing loans now for CPO vehicles. So it's a pretty exciting time to be in the space.
Eric, love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to take that perspective, as you know, Ryan, from a marketing perspective, and really look at knowing this data that Todd and Guy have available, and what's going on out there in that segment. It's more important than ever that these used car dealers out there have obviously an integrated marketing approach that ties really, really well into a consistent and a regimented pricing policy. There's a good supply of them out there, and it is competitive, and especially, as Todd said, with the average retail price of of the new cars out there as well, adding pressure to that. These dealers have to be smart about that consistent process of managing, as my friend Jason Rice always says as well, that first 30 is so important, but managing those pricing buckets. And it's just a matter of consistency. That's how a lot of these dealers, unfortunately, are missing the gross opportunities. So, I have to pound my fist on the table and say that's a really, really important piece for dealers to take notice. If you don't have a consistent pricing policy in place, get on that, because you're going to miss opportunities, and the competition is going to be all over it. Someone like Jason from Lot Pop, who's really pushing that objective. People are catching on to that. It's not all about giving away gross and going to just velocity. There's some type of balance in that hybrid. It's just find your sweet spot for your brand and your location and, your opportunities in the market, and you hit that. That's how you're going to be able to stay consistent and make the money that the dealers need to make. So it's so important.
I want to add, just for audience sake, the latter half of today, we're going to have Eric lead a segment on Google, using Google My Business, with some good tips and takeaways for the used car business. So I just want to put that out there as something to look forward to. Todd, I'm wondering if you could maybe elaborate, just get a little bit more granular into how incentives, directly impact CPO sales, and what's different about 2020 that's not been the norm up till now?
It's there's a couple of things that are happening. First of all, the captive banks that support their respective brands are seeing vehicles coming back in off lease. And the last thing they want to do is send them to auction where they'll take a massive residual hit. Mm-hmm. They're looking to do everything they possibly can to provide an aspirational vehicle to a customer that may be not quite ready to step up to one of their new vehicles, but was looking for something very similar, like a BMW 3 Series versus a current BMW 3 Series. So you're seeing the OEs become just as aggressive in terms of providing special rates for customers that on CPO vehicles to provide a very attractive value proposition to the point where you may see a $3,000 savings between a new vehicle financed and a used vehicle financed or CPO vehicle financed in those areas. So it really does have a lot of value. And I mean, you're even starting to see, quarterly incentives and programs out there for these OEs as they support these vehicles coming in off lease or off fleet. What we've done, to Eric's point, what we've done now is standardize all that data, giving you the ability to put that into a website, Mathbox, or into a digital retail tool if you'd like, and be able to quote right down to the penny a new versus a CPO vehicle. So there's really no reason not to, with the right disciplines like Eric was talking to be able to offer a customer the alternative of a CPO vehicle, just as they're shopping for the new vehicle, and be able to do it in an accurate way. All the odometer rules, the lending rules, the condition parameters, everything you need to be able to qualify a CPO vehicle can be there just as they would be if you were quoting a finance note on a new vehicle. So it's an equal footing now in terms of the data sets that are available to be able to provide pricing and payments and offer a really compelling value prop to a customer.
And is this accurate? Of the 17 million new cars that are sold, only about 4 million are leases?
You'll see leasing penetration vary from OE to OE. Obviously, the usual suspects, you get into the 60s if you're talking about a BMW or Mercedes, even into the 70s with an Infiniti. It really depends on the make and the scope of the brand, of the different kinds of vehicles that particular make has. But the reality is that OEs are trying to avoid leasing residual exposure on new vehicles as well as CPO vehicles. So they typically, what we're seeing right now at least, is that they're more willing to finance a fresh CPO vehicle to you than they would be to lease it. You see a lot more penetration and availability of programs across the spectrum of different captives with financing for CPO vehicles than you would lease vehicles. Lease vehicles are still pretty rare in the CPO space.
Todd, are you still expecting another 4 or 5 million lease returns this year as well to come back to the market?
Everything that we're hearing out of Charlie Smoke and some of our other economists is that there will be a continued increase of maybe another 0.5 point. So yes, that's definitely a possibility that there could be another 4 to 4.5 million CPO sales. But if you look at that as the overall percentage of the market, it's still pretty small. But it's still a very compelling segment that it will continue to grow. At least that's what our economists are saying right now, Cox Auto.
So how do you think that the increase in certified pre-owned financing and incentives is going to affect the new vehicle manufacturing and new vehicle sales for like the dealers that have still like 2019 stock on their lot, that are still brand new?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, Guy. We saw 18s on showroom floors at the end of last year, and the OEs are always concerned about not having sales banks and not having 1 to 2 year old vehicles sitting out there. So what you'll see is a continued balancing act around production. And then they're also being very careful on their residual portfolios for new vehicle leases not glut the market. But there's always going to be a balancing act with this. And that's why you'll see sometimes CPO rates all the way down to less than a point, just to make sure that those vehicles get flushed out of the system and don't end up going to auction for a residual hit. So there's no golden rule to that. It's going to continue to be a balancing act as they look at their portfolios.
Right. It makes sense to me that they would want to be capturing that extra value from the used vehicles coming off lease too. So
yeah,
that makes sense.
That customer will enjoy their experience in that brand, and then they'll be ready to move up into a new vehicle finance or lease product in the next round. So you're building owner loyalty as opposed to putting something in the CarMax lot.
Question for the group, Eric, Todd. I'm looking here. Five OEMs make up for close to 50% of the CPO sales that are out there. Why are the other brands not? Why are their CPO programs not as much of a priority? I mean, obviously they're lower volume OEs too, but I mean, half the CPO sales are going through 5 companies.
Yeah, and it's companies like Toyota and Ford that are really jumping on this bandwagon, and I just think frankly they get it. Ford Motor Credit and Toyota Finance have both been good sister companies to their respective OEMs, and have always been very aligned with what those car companies are trying to do through thick and thin. There's been many times where Ford Motor Credit carried Ford Motor Company overall in profitability. So they're just tuned in. That's a double-edged sword. There is a lot of complexity that comes with those car companies and their programs. It doesn't seem to be overflowing into the CPO arenas quite yet, and we hope it doesn't, because it's very simple and compelling value prop to finance a CPO vehicle from those car companies right now.
Yeah, I think it's just a smart move, Ryan. Obviously, as Todd said, those OEMs that get it, it bridges that gap, that disconnect from the OEMs and obviously the individual retailers, while still helping both parties build up the trust for the brand as well. And it's just, it's a great connector. And obviously as the pricing pressure, increases, as the volumes increase, the available vehicles, it's just a great opportunity to make that connection that really it just didn't seem like it was always there. And those, like I said, those brands that get it, they're going to latch onto it. And that's the connection that they need to make with customers in these times.
Yeah, and you see used vehicle pricing pressure, just like you do with new vehicle pricing pressure now from a margin compression perspective. And, having OEs and captives that get it and will put programs out there to make those payments as low and as attractive as possible to a customer. It's becoming just as important on the used car side as it's always been on the new car side to put together the right financial offer to the customer.
How do you think it compares with Volvo? Because what I've heard about them is that they buy back all of their leases. Do you know anything about that? Or I was getting told from someone that.
I'm sitting here looking at I can't confirm nor deny that because I don't know, so I won't respond to that.
I was just interested to see if you guys knew anything about that. But
I mean, what I am seeing is that Volvo Financial does offer special incentivized rates to CPO customers. So they are offering support around pricing, at least when it comes to packaging of payments. They do that for well-qualified customers. So that's got to be part of that process that they're working with.
You guys, I want to pivot over to our second segment, but real quick before we do, Guy, you had some interesting stats that you had prepared to show today. Are you able to show those off to us real quick?
Sure. All right, are you seeing my screen?
Yep.
Cool. So these are the national. This is our API, by the way. You can get on and pull these kind of things down. You can do like 300 calls per month for free. Anyways, I ran stats nationally. So this is in the US. There's 243,000 vehicles active today for sale. the total of all of them, what their retail value is at listed price, is 6.5 billion market cap. The average price for them for CPO is 27,000. The miles are kind of the same, I guess. I thought that was interesting, but I don't know why it would be interesting. Maybe you guys know any reason, or does that sound right to you? 27,000 miles for a certified pre-owned vehicle. Would the average miles be 27,000?
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at typically a CPO vehicle will be 3 to 4 years old, so that isn't too far out in terms of overall average mileage.
All right, yeah. So what we're seeing is that most of them, the days on market would probably be a better average if I got it from our history, which is our recents API that has 90 days of expired listings. But right now, out of all of the vehicles that are posted up right now, their average time being posted up is 125 days.
That seems so high.
It does, right? Yeah.
What's the margin of error on this?
Well, we do run certain things to take out, because I mean, some of them will come up as 0. You'll see right here. Mm-hmm. Some of them come up as 0, but we wouldn't be able to get a mean if we didn't add that. So I know we're doing certain things to take out the outliers so that they're not affecting our averages. So I'm going to say that, yeah, I think the average time that they've been online is 125 days. And that could be because of some of the 2018s that are still for sale new. I know that wouldn't be listed in here on CPO, but it just goes to show there is a lot of stale inventory out there,
And what we're seeing, we get out of Trader, is that a CPO vehicle will move typically 20% faster in 30 days than just a normal used vehicle without that certification. So there is an impact to the CPO programs.
Right. Yeah, I think the CPO cars will move faster for sure, and definitely sell for more money. And I think anything that's innovating how we can certify cars and make that easier, because that's really in the future when you're going to be able to go online and just buy a car without looking at it and buy a used car, like full on digital retailing. You're going to need some kind of universal certification, or at least some kind of certification to do that. When we buy used stuff on eBay or Amazon, you have seller ratings and seller reviews, and you buy from trusted sellers, but with cars, obviously you need probably an actual certification and actual, you got to have them check out the car and run down the checklist. Anyways, before I keep going off on subject, I'll keep us here on these averages. But I'll also throw in some of my dreams and hopes, So out of all the certified pre-owned vehicles that are online active for sale right now, the average lease term is 54 months, which I'm guessing is kind of up. I think that the lease terms have been going up, lease and loan terms. Yeah, they just probably longer terms.
You can get a 7-year loan now, although that's a lease. It's different.
Yeah, true. But same with.
Don't leases tend to get short? I feel like they've gotten shorter and shorter. Originally 5 years, and you could do 3, and it was like 2.5 years. But you're saying the average lease term is at 54 months?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And then, yeah, you're right. With the finance one, we're almost at 70. It's 66 months is the average.
So, Guy, thanks for preparing this. Just I'm going to switch to Eric on where to take data like this. But for those that are tuned in, either on the podcast or the watching this is the type of information that Guy's company can aggregate and work with you either at the retail level, or if you're if you're if you've got a platform or whatever where you need this type of data. And there's a lot, Guy's company aggregates this, you collect it, you archive it, and do a lot of cool stuff. And like you said, you have an open API that lets you do something like, what'd you say, 300 pings a month?
Yeah, for free.
Yeah. So
yeah. And we like, these are the average stats for nationally, but I can bring this down to the listing level if you want to see each car's day on market and the actual listing that adds up to give us these averages. So
yeah, and that's what a dealer is going to need. Great, good stuff, Guy. Thank you again for preparing that. Eric, let's turn to you. Google My Business, hot topic. Everyone's jumping all over it. This is probably the third or fourth session this year where Google My Business has come up in conversation. So I'd love to see what you have prepared for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's great to start off with tying in everything that Guy and Todd were talking about in terms of those stats. That's a crazy amount of cars. Well, 250,000 vehicles just in the CPO segment. What I think he said 6.5 billion worth of vehicles. Knowing that exists, dealers have to be aware of, okay, if that's what's out there, how are we going to market these? And let's go back, take a couple steps back and take a look at what are those opportunities from the very, very basic level. And that starts obviously with your local marketing. And so why is that so important these days? Google My Business has always been there, but it's never been given the priority and the importance level that it has now. I'm viewing this, Ryan, as basically the new opportunity for a land grab from a marketing foundation. Think of it like this: just a well-optimized GMB profile. Essentially, it helps create a brand new one-click shopping experience for car shoppers. People are starting off, they say about 62% of all car searches are starting on the phone. And from there, you're probably winding up with at least 45% of all dealership traffic in some way, shape, or form interacting with that Google My Business profile. So that is the new doorway into the website. That's the new local landing page, if you will. So being able to start from there and understanding those elements and of the local marketing tactic that are missing, in terms of being able to help improve the used car dealer's local presence, obviously being able to just increase engagement and click-through opportunities, and then obviously being able to improve the tracking. And once you put those three together, you've got a whole new layer that never really existed. And it's evident clearly from what Google's been doing. They finally opened up the API. 2 years ago, they opened up the post feature, and it really didn't take much, there wasn't a lot of traction around it. But then they just released out of the new beta, the new products carousel. They're opening up additional links. So the opportunity to be able to take it from one simple local landing page that had one button to click through to the website to now expand that to a potential of a dozen or more relevant little micro cards within that experience. And then be able to tag that properly and track it. It just changes that whole shopping experience from somebody, that used to be able to either just click through and not be able to track it, or just click the call, and it was just left at that. Dealers before, Ryan, were simply saying, oh, great, my organic traffic went up, it went down. Now to be able to segment that out and be able to say, okay, yeah, my organic traffic went up, but holy cow, take a look at my local traffic that flowed through the GMB profile, clicked on the button, clicked on the appointment link, clicked on the products and services, clicked in the product carousel. Maybe they interacted with the post. But bottom line is being able to expand that again, to be able to improve the connection and engagement opportunities and track that better. It gives you a much better holistic approach now to be able to say, all right, what's my full marketing portfolio look like? And again, there's so many dealers that unfortunately that have not realized what that opportunity is. And, we're excited, obviously, at Dealer Teamwork. We're one of the first to market to be able to have a nice all-inclusive bundle that takes care of this seamlessly behind the scene, and obviously connects it to our platform to be able to inject that relevant content into that local landing page.
Eric, would it be possible that I could share my screen and do like a search that, for a dealer, that's properly optimized with Google My Business, that we could kind of go through the work, the user experience from search to Google My Business and how that, will get me to the dealer site. Can you think of a dealer that we could?
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't you do a search for Kocerek Subaru, KOCOUREK.
So let me go to Google. And all right, So KOC, you said?
Yep. OU.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
OU.
REK Subaru.
Okay. Never heard of them. Thought I've heard of every dealership in the country, but I have not heard of that one. All right. So just search for them.
Yep. That should force their GMB to show up.
Okay. And is that what this is here?
Yep. So there's the Google My Business profile.
Now, wasn't it initially called the knowledge graph?
Well, that's a component of it. There's been several names for this. It was actually Google Places at one point as well. There's been several names for it. Now, it's, Google My Business.
All right.
So this is essentially a knowledge panel that they're using for this this experience. And this box essentially, Ryan, has gotten bigger over time. It just keeps growing. So where you're at right now, for instance, that middle carousel, that's a new product that just came out of beta probably about 60 days ago, maybe. And again, if you click on one of those, you'll be able to see there's a micro card essentially that opens up. And again, think of it like this. Google has given you 1,000 characters to put into this field. There's a reason why they're doing this. They're trying to draw more relevance to this entire profile. They haven't come right out and admitted it, but there is some type of connection there. So now what we've done, you can go through and, if you want, you can click that, click one of those call to actions as well. And that just simply connects it to a relevant landing page as well. So we've got the ability to connect really, really specific micro moment experiences within the Google My Business profile with a relevant landing page. So if you close out of that, scroll back up to the top.
Eric, real quick, is this a feed or is someone at the dealership coming up here and putting these in here manually?
This is part of our service. We actually build this for them within the profile. So we build those sections, put the content in, tag it properly with the UTM tags, and then obviously link that to the relevant landing page. So obviously if someone's looking for a Subaru Legacy and they click through, they can see the content and then obviously land them on a relevant landing page that should have their current offers on that, lease and finance offers.
Okay, because I think I answered my own question. It's not their entire inventory; it's select vehicles.
No, so we have product categories. So we have Subarus, SUVs, coupes, sedans. You could have pickup trucks, vans, convertibles. You could use whatever you want. So again, it's all really all about just giving more opportunities for those connections. And again, if you close out of that, scroll back up to the top, please, and I'll show you a couple of the key things. That website button right there, if you just hover over that, then the viewers can see the top button underneath the label.
Up here?
Yeah, so if you, I don't know if people can see that on the screen, but anyways, if you were to click through that, you'd see the URL is tagged properly with the UTM, the tracking tags that are needed. And this
I see the status bar.
Yeah, and that just simply helps you, from a marketing standpoint, to be able to track all of the clicks. And the moment these get on, now your dealer starts to realize, yes, I see where my traffic's coming from. And then if you have your Google Analytics tagged properly as well, now you can start to track the conversion from that. And again, this just opens up your eyes in terms of the opportunities to manage better.
I need to add something here because you just drew my attention to the status bar and talked about UTM codes. A couple of months ago on one of our panels, one thing that came up was it was Gray Scott. He had done a presentation at the Car Gurus Navigate. I think he said close to 100 dealers in the room, but I think, whatever, 50, 60, that doesn't matter. When he asked the audience of dealers who knew what UTM codes, he said no more than 2 dealers raised their hands.
I believe that. I just spoke at a 20 group last month with Joe Webb, and I did an audit of all the dealers in the 20 group. It was about 25 on the roster. There were only 2 dealers that actually had UTM tags on their website button, and there wasn't one dealer in the group that actually had all of the additional ones. You can see there where your mouse is. If you go down under the phone number, the products and services, and the appointments link. Most dealers may not even have that. And if they do, they may not have the tags. And unfortunately, some of the ones that have the tags, they may not have the proper campaign or content tag or the source and the medium as well.
So let's work with me here. those UTM codes were placed in there by dealer teamwork as a part of your service, right?
Correct.
Okay. If a dealer doesn't know what a UTM code is, which sounds like it's 98%, or whatever that number is, and they don't put the UTM codes in there, then are they not going to have that attribution and know that Google My Business is how it's working for their website?
Correct. They're just missing out on the opportunity to be able to track the fact that link was clicked and it came, and again, where it came from. In this case, if you searched Casseric Subaru, it just showed up, you click that products and services link, you would then have an extra layer of content or data within your within your analytics to be able to say, okay, we got an extra whatever, let's just say 350 links or link clicks last month from Google organic traffic.
So because you can't, well, I guess you can put UTM codes, but you can't control that they're going to show up on an organic search. So when you look at a dealer's website analytics that has Google My Business properly optimized, like you said, are you gonna see the GMB referring traffic typically outweigh the organic?
We haven't seen it completely outweigh it, but again, it's all coming from organic, whether if they click here or click through on the main organic results over to the left. But now you have a differentiator in terms of being able to say, yes, it's organic, but it also came through that specific medium, the organic traffic coming through the Google My Business profile. So now it just allows you to drill down. I personally like it a lot more, having the tags, because now we have a better overall picture, like I said before. Because if let's say, if we're managing somebody's paid search, it just makes logical sense to be able to understand how much organic traffic is coming in and how much paid traffic is, so you can make better marketing decisions. Because ultimately, it comes down to doing the right thing for the dealer in terms of being able to manage the most efficient and effective overall spend in terms of what does their marketing mix spend look like. And again, having this tag now, we're seeing so much more opportunities. And again, another key attribute here that we can't ignore is the category that you see under the stars, under the star rating.
Right here.
Google's going to display the primary category, which should always be the dealer's name, the dealer's brand, Subaru dealer, Chevy dealer, BMW dealer, whatever they may be. Oftentimes, you might just see car dealer. You might just see. I've seen new car dealers actually labeled as used car dealer first.
Yeah.
And again, that's similar to the same philosophy and tactics that are used, Ryan, to be able to optimize a website page. So now to be able to go through and use those proper tagging elements within this profile, you want to be able to make it as relevant as possible, so that now what happens is you properly tag it, you get the right content in there, you get the right linking. Google starts to see a much more healthier, robust profile. Now, when somebody does a different type of search, rather than just a branded, because you can have a direct or a branded search, but the key category that people are missing the opportunity on is what they call the discovery searches. That's your Subaru dealer near me, or Subaru dealerships in town, or best Subaru store near me, whatever. Those type of searches. Now you have the opportunity to be able to reference, for Google to reference this profile to those discovery searches. And those discovery searches can be huge. And actually, there's a really large study that came out last year across all industries, 45,000 different companies, and automotive dealers actually had some of the highest discovery searches, or rather some of the highest branded searches in there. So those opportunities to be able to show that, is tremendous. So it's a great opportunity. Like I said, it's a huge land grab. Don't miss out, obviously, on those opportunities to be able to tag it properly, track it, engage more, convert more, and then ultimately just increase the accountability so you can make better marketing decisions around the whole marketing mix.
I have two questions for you. First one is, I stopped sharing my screen, but one of the modules in there was reviews from the web. So what you saw was Google reviews at the top with the stars, but then underneath the products was reviews from the web, and there's Facebook and DealerRater. Is Google putting that in there, or is that you is that the dealer who's optimizing the GMB
So
profile?
Google's putting those in automatically. And again, that's another leading indicator, and from my opinion, in terms of how Google is changing the box and changing the features and functionality in there to be able to increase more, again, just more one-click type of experiences. And the speculation is that they'll continue to add more items in there, because as Google goes down this cycle and this path to continue to scrape data and be able to give you what they call obviously a zero-click search, be able to do a search and find your answer. That's why I like to call this now a one-click experience. Do your search around a topic or a brand, find the knowledge box for the GMB, and then find what you want, and then one click, get to that section of the website even better.
And that's always been Google's goal. Is it doesn't necessarily just want to throw you somewhere. The search results, you look through and you pick and you get tossed somewhere, and then it changes the algorithm based on that experience. What the GMB does, what the knowledge graph does, is it puts a whole bunch of information in one place, so that it's like, what is it specifically that you want? And then you're getting, so that's what you mean by the one-click experience.
Exactly. Just connect them with that. And if you have time, I can show you that list of top 10 ranking factors from a local SEO standpoint.
Yeah. Share your screen. You have like a checklist kind of thing here, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this up.
Yeah. So
I just wanted to add in, I thought it was really cool that you're getting, like you were saying, the one click. It's like you Google the company and you see that Subaru that you were looking for, and right there you can start clicking on them. It's a way better experience than navigating a whole dealer's website.
Exactly.
I think it's really cool.
Exactly. And Todd made the reference before, Ryan. I'll say real quick, as dealers start to do, more advanced type of digital retailing type of solutions, it's great to put that type of new shiny box solution into the site experience. But if you're not doing the basics in terms of marketing that site experience, there's the opportunity or the potential for a disconnect. So, go down the path, equally. So back to this real quick, Ryan, I'll run through this for you real quick. Here's a top 10 list of the most important local SEO ranking factors. And I bolded those items that dealers have an opportunity with a service like ours to be able to, simply impact that and make a direct effect on their ability to improve their engagement, the tracking, and obviously the overall potential for effectiveness. So obviously just having a verified and optimized GMB profile, that's crucial. If it's not verified, you lose the opportunity to be able to create more items. Google will scrape and put some basic items in. People can obviously, contribute to it, but unless it's yours and it's optimized, it's and verified, you don't have the ability to control that. Then next, as I said, the GMB categories, those are so crucial. The next item is not bolded. Again, this is just something that people can do on their own. The store can do it on their own as well. People can submit photos. And they say that any profile with more than 100 pictures gets exponentially more engagement and traction within the search results, and obviously just the overall activity. So more, bottom line, more photos are better. Having a Bing Places, it's the equivalent of Google My Business. Having a Bing local profile, having the name, address, phone number, and profile all consistent, very, 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 very important. And then the next two, online directories, we call them citations. And then the next one is review sites. There's a couple quick examples. You have directories like yp.com, Yelp. There's a ton of them out there. All Google wants to see, Ryan, is very simple. The consistency of that record throughout all of these, because that's how, as we said before, Google wants to do what? Give you the best results in your backyard. Well, they can't do that if they can't essentially verify it through their own methods, that is either a legit business or their records are consistent. They want to see that. And then the rest of them, again.
Real quick, I want to just emphasize what you said, because I think that's really key. What you're saying is by optimizing your Bing Places, your online directories like YP, and you're about to mention Yelp, by doing that, you will improve your SEO results on Google.
Yeah, because all Google's looking to see is the consistency. If you got record A, B, and C, and D, and they're all different in terms of name, address, and phone number and profile description, it's hard for them to verify that yes, this is a good listing. And that's all Google wants to do, is give a good listing. And then again, as I said, the other four, those are just natural occurring things. Google wants to see positive reviews, but they want to see a good, a good steady pace of them. They don't want to see it gamed. They want to see it to be a human emulated type of process. And then this next one is really interesting. A lot of dealers may not be aware of this, but this is something that Google has pushed now for a while, and they're putting more emphasis on it. Getting a review with a keyword and locations. Again, very difficult to control in game, but if it happens, it's great. This also applies to the replies to the reviews, whether it's a negative or a positive. So instead of saying, "Hey Ryan, thanks for buying your car here," or answering a response like that, you could say, "Hey Ryan, thanks for buying your car," or "Thanks for buying your new Subaru Outback at Kasurik Subaru in Wausau, Wisconsin." Even the responses that you have, those small cues, they're part of the mix. And then again, just responding to a negative review, Google wants to see that engagement. And then last is just having that Facebook business page. Again, having the name, address, phone number, and profile consistent, accurate, and having that link together. And again, this list goes on and on. There's a lot more, but these are the top 10 that are, again, bolded. I bolded out the 5 that are easy, low-hanging fruit items that we're able to help. And the others, again, we just want to be able to support, make sure that dealers are aware of what those tactics are. They're important, how they play into it, and how they can help contribute. And again, bottom line is, this is all just encompassing that effort to be able to improve the local presence, create additional engagement opportunities, and then ultimately just improve the tracking behind it. That's all.
This is a great list. So folks listening on the podcast, you can't see it, but what I'll do is I'll work with Eric and we'll make it available in the show notes. It's a great list. And there was a real subtle tip in there, which was what you were explaining, how you can't control what people say in their reviews, but in your response, you can strategically respond with keywords that will help pick up. That's a really good tip. It reminded me, it brought me back to like 5 years ago when every conversation I had was around online reviews, right? It was like online reviews. It's like best practices. And that's not the space that I've been in for the past few years. So that just kind of was like a flashback, like, oh yeah, you really got to focus on those keywords. So great list. We'll make that available in the show notes for people, and really informative. I think I'm glad we did that, because I feel like we got some concrete, tangible visuals of how this is actually going to, that user experience and how it's going to benefit the dealer.
And I think lastly, I'll tie it up with, I think the key is everything that Guy and Todd were saying, in terms of this activity in that used segment, especially with CPO. If used car dealers are looking for that, that magic bullet, so to speak, while that doesn't necessarily always exist, this is a great way to take a step back, review the basics of your marketing plan, take a look at it, Google your own name, find your business, see if those elements aren't there. And again, if dealers are looking for a cost-effective way to be able to, market either these used cars or especially the CPOs, that's where you got to start. I just think that's a really simple and logical way to start that process.
Well, gentlemen, let me say thank you for taking the time. I know we went a little longer than we planned, but we knew we were going to go a little bit longer, but just a lot of great information. Todd, great to have you up here for the first time. Welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think, Cox Automotive always has great data. So, feel free to hop in here and share that and be part of the conversation. Guy, thanks again for putting that together. Very astute of you. You guys also do a lot of really cool stuff at Marketcheck. So folks, if you want to reach out to Guy on LinkedIn or look for him, he'll be tagged in the posts, related to all this content. So thanks again, Guy.
Cool. Yeah. Great meeting you, Todd, and Eric as well.
See you guys.
It's good talking with you guys. Looking forward to talking another time.
So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and reshare my screen, and thank you again, Eric, for putting all that together.
Thanks,
Lee, who stopped by, was commenting when we were talking about UTM codes. Lee, I don't know if you're on the retail side or not, but the UTM codes thing, as we were talking about it, you guys, it's one of those things, if you don't know what they are and you hear them in conversation, you won't hear it. It's like cuss words for kids. Until they know what the cuss word is, it just floats in one ear. And I think UTM codes are like that. They come up in conversation and we know what they are, but if you don't know what they are, it's just some sort of, 3-letter acronym that came up in a conversation. So folks, if you don't know what UTM codes are, find out, do some research, reach out to Eric and definitely figure out what those are. All right. So here's the deal. Again, this is streamed live, but once the stream ends, it becomes unlisted. So the only way to catch the recording later is if you have a link. And the best way to get that is subscribe to our YouTube channel and be sure to press on the bell icon to turn on notifications so that when we go live, you get that link. Now, if you like what we're doing here and you want to participate in these panels, either as an attendee where you can chime in with audio or with your video on like Todd and Guy and Eric here, go to autoconversion.net, look under webcast and find used car marketing under the auto retail section. It's a one-time registration. There's no cost or obligation. That will automatically generate your Zoom access. And then every time we schedule a session, you'll receive an email and you'll be notified, and you'll get an email from me letting you know what's coming up. And if you have something you want to talk about, if you have a challenge, a technology, maybe a vendor that you want to vet out, let us know in the comment section. We'll make that part of the discussion. This is one of 6 auto retail marketing webcasts that we do every month. They all work the same way. They all have their own one-time registration. Great opportunity for networking. Get to know great thinkers and thought leaders like the gentleman we have up here today, and very informative and educational as well. There is a calendar link on our website, and that shows you all of our programming. The auto retail webcasts are done on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2:00. We also do a tech show every week at 2 and a leadership show every other Monday. And all of this is repurposed or reproduced and then featured on the AutoConverse podcast. So I encourage you to subscribe to the AutoConverse podcast and get a different experience from just the webcast experience. I'm Ryan Girardi. We're going to shut down. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll be back next week with another session. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right. End stream.